Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us on Facebook. We are giving you up to the minute updates as these storms roll in. This is an evolving situation, a very dangerous situation. We've been doing hourly updates, hourly cut-ins on CBS 46 throughout the entire day today because we knew that what was about to unfold would be very dangerous and possibly deadly. So we want to keep you and your family safe. Please have a plan. Please sleep in the basement if you have a basement or an interior room in your home. If you live in an apartment, an interior stairwell is a great place to be. You want something away from doors and windows. You need to protect your head. You really need to be safe. This is a very dangerous situation. Tornadoes likely. Strong damaging winds are likely. So this is likely to happen here tonight. And we've already seen several tornado warnings throughout the evening. We even have one right now across far northern Georgia. This is out of our viewing area, but this is across North Georgia in Murray County. This is extending here into Tennessee and then eventually western North Carolina. A tornado warning there until 10:30. And we've been seeing these cells move in from Alabama that show quite a bit of rotation. Because of that, we are under a tornado watch for Northwestern Georgia. This is until 11 o'clock tonight. And this is for the storms moving in from Alabama. We're watching these storms move in and clipping northwestern Georgia. That is why only northwest Georgia is under a tornado watch right now. But I expect that to change. I don't want you to be in metro Atlanta or Hall County or northeast Georgia. See this and let your guard down thinking you're in the clear tonight. I fully expect metro Atlanta and the rest of North Georgia to be under some kind of tornado watch as we head through the rest of the evening. Do want to point out Rabun County also under a tornado watch, that one until 2 o'clock in the morning. This is the immediate threat right now. It's these storms over Alabama. Then as we head into the overnight hours after midnight, we're going to see that threat moving in from Tennessee as well as this line of storms rolls on in. But as you can see, we have tornado warnings in place north of Birmingham, and all of these yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings. Tons of lightning, tremendous amounts of lightning. These storms are very electrical. So I'm actually going to take the lightning off here. Know that it's there, but I'm taking it off so you can see this heavy rain a lot more clearly. Again, this is a tornado warning north of Birmingham. These are severe thunderstorm warnings here in and around Birmingham. This is traveling to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So you're following that trajectory and you're seeing where it's going. Floyd County, heading towards Somerville, Whitfield, Murray, Walker counties, all in the line of fire here as these storms move to the northeast. And that's been the trajectory here throughout the entire afternoon. All of these storm reports here are storm damage reports. The ones that look like a snapped tree, that is wind damage. So lots of trees down, power lines down, structural damage to homes. You see hail reports as well. It's the one that looks like 3 different sizes of hail. We also have reports of tornadoes as well and wind. When you see this symbol, that is a wind damage report. So really blanketed much of middle Alabama and now northwestern Georgia. We have a storm report as well for a possible tornado. We came live on the air as soon as this tornado warning was issued. This was around 8:29 in Walker County. So this is just north of our viewing area, but just shows how fast this happens, how unstable the atmosphere is. We have several reports of trees down and possible structural damage along Highway 151 just south of Lafayette. This is in southern Walker County. The TDS signature, which is what we look for on the radar. It's the signature we look for rotation for a possible tornado. It is seen on the radar at that exact location. So we're pretty sure a tornado touchdown briefly in Walker County. The Weather Service will go tomorrow and assess the damage and confirm that. But as of now, an unconfirmed tornado already touched down in Walker County across northwestern Georgia. So I want to go over the timing. We have those storms that will continue to skirt over northwestern Georgia through the evening. But as we approach midnight, that's when we'll see that main line move through North Georgia. And notice how it extends across the state from Ellijay to Canton to Cobb County, to Carroll County, to Troup County, and you see those bright pinks and reds. This is an incredibly strong thunderstorm here, line of storms, that is going to move through the metro area. This is not expected to weaken at all as it moves through Atlanta and the metro area and North Georgia after midnight tonight, mainly between 1 and 3 in the morning. And then by 5 or 6, this will be out of here, but you really need to be on guard. between midnight, really now across northwestern Georgia, but for Atlanta between midnight and 5 a.m. for the possibility of severe weather. And we have several threats. We talk about tornadoes. We're looking at the possibility of not only strong tornadoes, stronger than EF2, but strong tornadoes that will be on the ground for an extended period of time. Those are called long track tornadoes. We're looking at the possibility of winds in excess of 75 miles an hour. That's hurricane force winds possible within this line tonight, but also very heavy rain. Flash flood watch in effect overnight. Could see 4 inches of rain across North Georgia. So here you're looking at the various threats. Notice how high these threats are: tornadoes, heavy rain, high winds, high threats of those happening here. And the reason being is we're incredibly unstable. We use this particular model here to show us how unstable it is, how juicy and moist the air is, the possibility of rotation in the atmosphere as well. This is our tornado index here. And notice that midnight looks okay, but look how things really start to ramp up by 4 or 5 o'clock. We're seeing yellows, oranges, and reds across Atlanta. So very high likelihood of rotation, of 75 plus mile an hour winds, and of severe thunderstorms in the overnight hours. So what do you do if you are under a tornado warning? Take shelter now. Warning means take shelter now. You want to get to the lowest level of your floor. You want to stay away from windows, an interior room, wear a bicycle helmet or grab a mattress or a really thick weighted blanket and protect your head. You also need medicine, any medication you may need. If you need to take your pets, make sure you have a leash for your dog with your pets. Make sure you have shoes nearby in case you need shoes, in case there is a tornado and then you need to walk on some of this debris. You need shoes. And you need to have food and snacks, water with you as you head to your safe spot. Another good reminder, chances are you're going to lose power tonight. There's a very high likelihood of losing power. So if you have those chargers, those remote chargers that you can charge your devices in, if you lose power, make sure you take those with you as well. I want to show you the percentages here because we're talking about extremely high percentages for damaging winds and for tornadoes. The highest risk for strong damaging winds is in far west Georgia. There's a 45% chance of seeing winds in excess of 75 miles an hour within this pink area, within 25 miles of anywhere in this pink area. 45% chance of 75 plus mile an hour winds. That is incredible. Look at the tornado risk. 15% chance of strong tornadoes. This is hatched. When it's hatched, it means strong tornadoes, EF2 or higher. 15% chance of seeing incredibly strong tornadoes in West Georgia tonight until 8 a.m. Monday. And we've been talking about this a lot with the weather team. We are all here in the studio to keep you safe overnight. I've been in Atlanta almost 12 years now. In June, it will be 12 years. I've covered a lot of severe weather. I've covered a lot of hurricanes. I've covered a lot of tornadoes. I've covered a lot of ice storms and snowstorms here. But I cannot remember a time that each one of these parameters all came into place so perfectly here for this risk to be so high across Atlanta. And Rodney, I think you've been here almost 11 years, right?
Yeah, I'm 1 year behind you, and you're right. I mean, we all the parameters are in place, right, Jen? And we've been behind the scenes tracking and monitoring this over the past several days. We've had a lot of meetings about it, preparing for today. And we keep using the word significant event, and just what Jen was saying, you know, using our own perspectives. You know, more than 20 years between us both, and we just don't see the parameters stack up like this as much as we are seeing tonight, which is why we're doing our best to try to keep you up to date. Jen, a moderate risk of severe weather, so we're talking about a level 4 risk of severe weather. Normally we're at a 1 or 2, like a slight risk. This is a moderate risk. I believe it was 2017. The last time that we had a moderate risk here in Metro Atlanta. To give you a little perspective of how big a deal this is, and you can also see on Pinpoint Radar there a tornado warning still in Alabama, another one in Tennessee. I wanted to, Jen, bring in the lightning counter because we're seeing a ton of lightning in Alabama. That stuff's moving into Georgia, so hopefully you're kind of heeding what we're saying and you're going to be watching this. But you're going to wake up, you know, if you do happen to fall asleep. Right now, over 1,300 lightning strikes in this system as it moves toward the east and southeast. So That's something that we'll be watching for too. Again, at the moment, only 2 tornado warnings, but that will continue to move toward the east. And we had kind of a pre-event, Jen, for our friends up in the northwestern portions of the state. If you're watching in metro Atlanta, you're just probably seeing rain, but this stuff that we see in Alabama, that's what's coming our way. So that's why we urge you to be extra cautious in the overnight hours. So one of the things that we want to make sure that you do here, because this is an overnight event, you have to have the CBS 46 app, but not just having the app. What you'll want to do, and we're actually going to put together a segment and put this on our website for you, make sure that you go to your notifications in the CBS 46 app and turn on the weather alerts. Hopefully you have all the alerts on, but definitely have the weather alert turned on, have the live event alert turned on. What the live event does is anytime we do this, where we come on and do these updates outside of the newscast, you're alerted to that. And then also what's really cool, Jen, is you can go county by county. So for example, we're in Fulton County right now, so you can select your own county to make sure that you get your alerts. Again, we'd like you to really turn on all the alerts, but if you're wondering what alerts do I absolutely need to check when you're in that app, go to notifications and make sure you have breaking news, weather, live events, and your county selected, and that makes sure that a sound will actually go off if something significant happens in your county, and you will then be able to get that really important information, because again, we cannot stress enough. Not only is this a big event, but it's going to be overnight when a lot of you are asleep. So Jen, Molly, I believe, is available in Chattooga County. Molly's in Somerville, one of the areas that's already been hit. Molly, what are you seeing there?
Well, Rodney, I can't stress this enough that this is round one. What happened here in Somerville is round 1 of 2, and the second round will likely be stronger than what we saw this evening. But you guys were on the air. Jennifer, Ella, that was a big lightning strike that we just had, as well as Rodney. You guys were on air as this was moving through Somerville, and it was a pretty impressive tornado signature as it moved through Somerville. Right behind me, they have the roads closed because there is a gas leak. They were working on getting people trapped out of a house. They have thankfully gotten them out of the house now, and I'm concerned about this lightning and thunder. If this gets any closer, we're gonna have to go back into the car and give it back to you guys. But we're going to stay out here for now. What we're most concerned about with this is that we are seeing strong, healthy trees that are being knocked over with these damaging winds and potentially an unconfirmed tornado that did come through Somerville. What we're seeing just behind me is this very powerful wind that came through here actually knocked down some power lines. That's part of the reason why they have the road closed off right now. But just beyond that, we have a very large tree, a healthy tree, that has several very large limbs that are torn off in the middle of the road. Part of the reason some of these power lines came down, again, there were some people that were trapped inside of a house. We spoke to the Chattooga County Sheriff. He said they are no longer trapped. They are out. So that is certainly good news. But we are still seeing heavy rain. And the part about this that is so scary is the fact that we are in complete darkness. It just can show you, if you just look around here, you can tell just how nerve-wracking it would be to see the second round of storms come through this area, because we have no visibility. It is dark. We are a city in a forest, and those trees extend all the way up into North Georgia. We are so concerned about trees falling with this damaging wind coming through. And you won't be able to see these storms coming because of the heavy rain and because of the fact that this will be at night. So again, we are in Somerville, Chattooga County. This is where round 1, an unconfirmed tornado did move through. We're going to, of course, keep track of the National Weather Service as they come out and survey this damage, likely tomorrow, to see if this is a confirmed tornado. But behind me, a gas leak. We've got power lines down. We've got healthy trees that have come down, and we did have people trapped in a house, but thankfully they are okay and they are out now. So again, Jennifer, Rodney, this is just round 1. We can't stress that enough, and we are going to send this back to you guys in the studio so that we can get out of the way of some of these emergency responders and of course the lightning and the thunder that's happening here too.
Molly, yeah, and I can see it's pouring down rain where you're located as well. So we're getting hit with lots of risks tonight, and that's part of the problem. We have flooding potential. We are under a flash flood watch. That is through the overnight hours for North Georgia, some areas as much as 4 inches of rain. You have hail as big as golf balls that's possible tonight. You have winds in excess of 75 miles an hour, which is hurricane force winds. and that will be fairly widespread with a 45% chance of seeing strong damaging winds tonight across West Georgia. And then you have the tornado threat as well. So we're getting hit on all angles here as these storms roll on in. I do want to give you another look at this timing. Again, between now and 2 o'clock in the morning across northwestern Georgia. In fact, northwestern Georgia under a tornado watch right now from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. across the metro area. Then finally moving out by about 5 a.m., 5 to 6 a.m. I think that's a safe time when these storms are going to roll out of here. So we're going to back up here. I want to go back to the radar so you can get a look at what things are looking at right now, because obviously we want to update you in real time here. So we are backing up. So please excuse
now,
oh,
Jen.
you got it,
Yeah,
Rodney?
I got you.
Okay, we're going to back up to the beginning here. And we're going to look at radar again. That's that tornado warning that was in North Georgia. That is now over Tennessee and western North Carolina, kind of on the border there, Tennessee and western North Carolina, active tornado warning there. As of now, no severe warnings in North Georgia. So no tornado warnings, no severe thunderstorm warnings right now, but that is likely to change. And I'm going to show you why. As we head a little further west, again, there's that rain over northwestern Georgia. There's the tornado watch. This is what's heading across in our direction. We've got tornado warnings right now in Alabama, severe thunderstorm warnings in Alabama. Thankfully, this is moving to the northwest. So this is not moving towards Atlanta, at least not in the imminent future here. This is going to move to northwestern Georgia, possibly clipping Floyd County and Chattooga County, Walker and Whitfield counties, the same counties that got hit the hardest already. This is likely to affect them again as these storms continue to roll to the north and east. And then as we head into the overnight hours after midnight, that's when we'll see that line of showers and storms make their way into Atlanta. Again, lots of storm reports. And now actually, Rodney, we're getting several more. Earlier, this was just a tornado, preliminary reports of a tornado in Walker County, but look at the damage we're getting. Do you want to click on those, Rodney, see what kind of damage reports we're getting across North Georgia? Again, these are just out of our viewing area, but it's a precursor of what's to come. It just shows you how unstable the environment is and how likely it is to see these severe storms. And already getting several reports of wind damage across far North Georgia. We do have one in Somerville, but then as we head across North Georgia, we have several reports of trees down as well. So that's the tornado one, Ronnie. Let's see what the wind reports here. Let's hit this one here in Dalton and see what kind of information. This is in Whitfield County in Dalton. This was around 9:34. We have a tree reported down on a structure. So on some kind of home or building on the 200 block of Hewitt Drive. So some damage reports there. Then we have another damage report here as we head just north of that tornado report in Walker County. This is in the city of Naomi. We have multiple structural damage reported right along Highway 151. So multiple structures damaged from possible winds. When you see that tree snapped in half, those are wind damage reports. And Ronnie, what else are you seeing there?
Well, I was just going to say that's something that's very normal here. The trees coming down. It seems like that happens a lot. I think we're going to see, Jen, both types of tree damages. So you're going to see the larger trees, but a lot of times smaller trees will come down too. That's just something that happens, especially when it rains a lot in Metro Atlanta. So as we get into Metro Atlanta, if you're in an area where trees typically come down, that's expected, but we're also going to see larger trees come down. Jen, you've been talking a lot about the level of the wind and how we're going to see winds more than hurricane force. So that means that in addition to the smaller trees that we're used to seeing come down, you're also going to see some of those larger trees come down too, which is a pretty big deal. Another one of the reasons, Jen, why we're calling this, a significant event.
Significant event. And yeah, you're talking about 75, 85 mile an hour winds, and you think in your head, it's hard to fathom what does that mean? That sounds like a big number. What does that really mean? When you're looking at 75, 85 mile an hour winds, that's as strong as a tornado. That's as strong as a Category 1 hurricane. A hurricane is anything above 74 mile an hour winds. That can rip the siding off a home. That can knock a healthy tree down, power lines down, damage to siding, damage to your roof. Flying objects, anything in your yard can basically become a missile and fly across the yard. So 75, 85 mile an hour winds are incredibly dangerous. And that's what we are forecasting tonight as this line moves through. And we've already seen this system has a history of producing strong damaging winds and tornadoes. It's done it across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and now it's going to do it over Georgia. And it's going to happen over the most dangerous time of day. This is happening at night when many of you are sleeping. And they say that tornadoes at night are twice as deadly as tornadoes during the day. And it's not because of the tornado itself. It's because it's happening while most people are sleeping. So they're not getting their warnings. They're not aware that they're under a warning. They're asleep. So they're not taking cover. They're not in their safe spot. They're not taking shelter. So that's why they say that tornadoes at night are twice as deadly. Another reason is during the day, you're usually in an office building, not so much now with the coronavirus, but normally you're in an office building, and those office buildings are better protected than some of these homes. So that's another reason tornadoes at night are deadly, because you're at home and you're sleeping and you're unaware. So you need to download our CBS 46 app, streaming app. It will wake you up and it will alert you if there is a warning in your area, but you need to set it up. So you need to go ahead and go through the motions to set up that app so that it will wake you up if there is a tornado warning tonight. Rodney?
Yeah, Jen, one of the things I want to do with Pinpoint Radar here, we don't normally do this for television, but just to give you an idea of the wind energy that we're talking about, one of the reasons why this is going to be such a significant event, what I'm going to do as we go full here is bring up CBS 46 Pinpoint Radar, Jen. I'm going to take off the radar and I'm going to take off the warnings and put up what we call storm tracks, which are, you know, mesos. It's short for mesocyclone, which is a rotating thunderstorm. Again, this isn't something that we normally show you on television, but just so you can see the type of spin that's in the atmosphere right now. These are all the little mesos, the rotating thunderstorms that we are seeing at the moment. Now, you can get a rotating thunderstorm without a tornado, so all of these are not tornadoes or tornado warnings, but this gives you an idea of the number of rotating storms that we have out there right now. And any one of these at any point could strengthen strong enough to become a tornado warning, which is why we are so concerned. Again, this is not indicating where we have our tornado warnings, but just giving you an idea of all the rotation that we have out there right now. What happens is a lot of times these storms will rotate, but what you need is super strong rotation in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And once that happens, that's when you get your tornado warning to be issued. So we don't have that lower level rotation that's super strong in all of these, but this just gives you an idea of how much spin there is in the atmosphere with this stuff that's moving in from Alabama, which is why we're so concerned, and Jim, why we're going to be here overnight for when one of those rotating storms do in fact become tornadic.
Yeah, and another thing that's so prominent about this event, and again, both Rodney and I combined have been here, what, like 23 years, something like that, is that it's affecting such a large portion of the viewing area. A lot of times we have these systems move through and it's North Georgia or it's West Georgia or it's south of I-20. That's usually the case. But not only is this system incredibly strong as far as how unstable we are, how much rotation is in the atmosphere, how likely it is to see tornadoes and strong damaging winds, but also in that it's affecting the entire area, including Metro Atlanta. But all of North Georgia has the possibility of seeing strong, long-track tornadoes and winds in excess of 75 miles an hour. So this is affecting everybody, and it's a really scary situation. Earlier, we were forecasting for this event. We've been doing this for days. We've been tracking this for at least a week now, but as we were fine-tuning our forecast even today, we were having conversations. We always talk about the forecast amongst each other, and, you know, we all kind of had this pit in our stomach. A very uneasy feeling, and we don't get that a lot. It takes a lot to bring that out of me, especially when you're talking about storms, because we talk about storms all the time. But, you know, we're talking about lives. We're talking about a time when many of you are sleeping overnight, and we're talking about widespread tornadoes.
It's really dangerous, Jen, the combination
really
of the significant event and the fact that it's happening overnight.
Right.
And everybody's been saying this. You don't see a lot of this stuff overnight, which is why we're so concerned. Jen, look at, so the front itself is still back in portions of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. So the stuff that you're seeing in Alabama, that's actually ahead of the front, which you'll see when we go back to Pinpoint Radar. That's not even the front. So what happens with these systems is you have to get the cold front to move through before the rain stops.
So this is the front.
Yeah, that's so we got a long way.
And this is well ahead of the front.
That's just, it gives you an idea of how long we're going to be with this.
And you look at Alabama as a whole. I mean, you've got warnings from top to bottom. This is encompassing the entire state of Alabama. You've got warnings across much of the state. So this is not just a Georgia thing. This is an Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana thing as well. Louisiana now in the clear, so is Texas. But they had some strong storms earlier today and some confirmed tornadoes as well. And we were looking at the debris signature. So we look at a lot of things on radar, but one of the things we can look at is if there's debris flying in the air, the radar beam actually picks that up. And we were seeing these huge debris balls on the radar scans. Basically, it's picking up everything flying through the air. And at one point, Ella and I put the distance, measured the distance of how far the debris ball was from the actual tornado, and it was over 20 miles away.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And even some of the tornado signatures, particularly the tornado warning that we were tracking earlier that moved into West Georgia, one of the higher signatures that we saw, you know, on that as well. Jen, I want to do one more thing here, because in addition to the threat for tornadoes, you've also been talking about the threat for flash flooding. One location that we have seen quite a bit of rain in the same areas, we call it training, when the rain moves over the same area kind of over and over again, is for our friends northwest of Atlanta. So there's actually a flash flood warning that's currently in effect as we speak for Catoosa, Chattooga, Dade, Fannin, Floyd, Gilmer, Gordon, Murray, Walker, and Whitfield County. So basically the North Georgia mountains until 3:30 in the morning. Now, tornadoes, damaging winds, obviously our bigger threats. Flash flooding is a big deal. A lot of people are killed by flash floods. It's one of the higher reasons for people dying due to the weather. So flash flooding, a really big deal. That flash flood warning in the North Georgia mountains, and I'll take the warning off and put the radar back on so you can see that rain that just continues to fall in that same area. A couple of things to note whenever you're dealing with flash flooding. By the way, a flash flood, the flash means that the flood happens super fast. So whenever you get a regular flood, it kind of takes a while for the water to build up. But a flash flood means that it's very sudden and it's very dangerous at night. So it only takes 2 feet of water to knock a vehicle, make it to where your vehicle is disabled, and hopefully a lot of you won't be out, so that won't be as big a deal. But another stat, Jen, 6 inches. 6 inches of fast-moving water is how much you need to take you off of your feet. And again, you just don't think when you think about water that it's that big a deal, but that's one of the bigger causes of deaths because of weather. So we want to make sure that you take that seriously too in the North Georgia mountains. That flash flood warning is a big deal, especially at night. I've seen so many videos, Jen, I know you have too, where you're at night and you're walking or driving and you just can't see how deep the water is, which is one of the reasons why it trips so many people up. So be extra careful for those of you under that flash flood warning. And that's something that we're going to have to watch too because of all that rain that's in Alabama. By the way, I'm talking about flash flood warnings. I'm going to take the radar off again. The green that you see, those green boxes are the flash flood warnings. So right now, as you see this, and throughout the course of tonight, if we're on radar and you see a green box over your location, that means that you're under a flash flood warning too. So that's something that you also want to be mindful of. Just another of one of the many threats, Jen. Actually,
will you do me a favor, Rodney? Will you put on the estimated rainfall totals across northwest Georgia? I want to see how much rain we've seen so far across northwestern Georgia. And this is within the last, you can do 12 or 24 hours. So we'll see what Rodney's going to pop up here. But this is the radar estimated rainfall totals here.
This is 12. I'm going to go to
so
24.
12 hours.
So this is 24 now.
Okay. But I think even 12 tells the similar story. So you're looking at yellow is 1 inch of rain, orange is 2 inches of rain. So we've already seen over 1 inch, or I'm sorry, more than 3 inches of rain. So you're looking at 3 to 4 inches of rain in some spots. And this is just within the last 12 hours, essentially here. And you've got all this moisture here over Alabama that is still going to move into northwest Georgia. So this is going to exacerbate that problem. So flooding a big concern as well. And you talked about that driving through the flooded roads. We always say turn around, don't drown, especially if you don't know how deep the water is. That is one of the biggest causes of weather-related deaths is from flooding, and it's from people driving through flooded water. So that is obviously a big concern. I know all eyes are on the tornadoes and the wind damage and the trees down, and of course, as it should be, but flooding is a big, dangerous concern as well. As of now, the important thing to know, again, no severe thunderstorm warnings in place, no tornado warnings in place. Of course, as soon as that changes, we are going to let you know right away. So we're going to go get a drink of water. We're going to prepare for the 11 o'clock show. We're starting at 11 o'clock on CBS 46, but please know that as soon as a warning is issued, we will break into programming right away. We are all in this together. We're going to get through it tonight. Please be safe. Again, sleep in an interior room without any windows if you can, and stay with CBS 46 and CBS46.com. We'll have updates throughout the night.